Snow White 2025, Disney's live-action remake of its most iconic movie. Reported production costs eventually climbed well above $300 million before tax incentives. Global box office, around $205 million. Reported theatrical loss, roughly $170 million. By any normal Hollywood math, that's a disaster. So why, a few months later, did Disney greenlight another live-action Tangled remake anyway? Here's the thing critics keep missing. My argument is that Disney isn't looking at these movies as simple pass or fail bets. It's running something closer to a portfolio. And when you zoom out to the portfolio level, the math looks completely different. Let's look at the record. Aladdin, $1.05 billion worldwide on a $183 million budget. The Lion King, $1.66 billion. The Jungle Book, $966 million on a $175 million budget. Lilo and Stitch went on to cross $1 billion worldwide. For every Snow White, Disney has had several enormous remake successes. Here's what I think. I don't think this makes the losses okay, but it does explain why nobody at Disney is panicking. If you own 4 or 5 guaranteed hits a decade, you can afford a few expensive misses. That's not creative decision-making, that's just how a big studio manages risk. The problem is, audiences don't experience Disney as a portfolio. We experience it one movie at a time, so when we call something a flop, we're right. We're just not the ones keeping score the same way Disney is. A commonly cited Hollywood rule of thumb is that a movie may need to gross roughly 2 to 2.5 times its production budget to reach theatrical break-even, depending on marketing costs and other expenses. That's why a movie can gross $200 million and still be called a flop in the trades. It's not really about the number on the poster. It's about the number nobody sees. Now here's the part most breakdown videos skip entirely: marketing cost. And recognizable IP has another advantage. Disney doesn't have to introduce the basic concept to audiences. People already know what Aladdin, Snow White, and The Lion King are. That familiarity can make marketing a very different proposition from trying to launch a completely unknown property. Audiences already know Aladdin. Nobody needs to be told what Snow White is. That built-in recognition means Disney can spend less to open a remake than it would need to spend to open something brand new, even a remake that eventually underperforms. In my opinion, this is the part that actually annoys me a little. A 25% discount on marketing means Disney can put out a mediocre remake and still open big off nostalgia alone, before word of mouth even has a chance to tank it. That's not really a bet on quality. It's a bet on brand recognition doing the heavy lifting, which honestly explains a lot about why some of these movies feel like they were never trying that hard to begin with. Then there's the library value. This part surprises people. The original animated Moana isn't just an old movie sitting on a shelf. It's reportedly the single most streamed film in Disney Plus history, with over 1.5 billion viewing hours. Every live-action remake, hit or miss, pushes fresh attention back onto the original, back onto the merchandise, back onto the theme park rides built around these characters. The box office number is just the visible piece. The real return is spread across streaming, licensing, and parks. Revenue you'll never see reported in a single opening weekend headline. So does that mean every remake is quietly a win? No. And this is where the theory has a real limit. Snow White wasn't just a box office miss. It arrived after years of controversy, and Disney noticeably scaled back some of its promotional activity before release. When a remake gets tangled up in bad press, none of the portfolio math saves it. Mulan was another financial disappointment, although its 2020 release was heavily affected by the COVID-era theatrical shutdowns and Disney Plus's release strategy. The The safety net exists, but it's not bulletproof. Personally, I think controversy was a bigger problem than the movie's quality alone. Snow White entered theaters after years of arguments about its casting, story changes, and the politics surrounding its stars. Whatever you think of the film itself, that conversation clearly became part of the product. Mulan had a similar problem. Disney can survive a remake that's just okay. What it can't survive is a remake that becomes a headline for the wrong reasons, because that's the one thing the portfolio math can't absorb. Which brings us to Tangled, currently filming, and whatever comes after it. Disney isn't chasing a guaranteed hit every time. It's running a machine where the wins are big enough and the losses cheap enough to produce that the average comes out ahead, even when the headlines say otherwise. So next time you see a Disney remake getting torn apart online, ask the question that actually matters. Not did this movie succeed, but did Disney ever need it to?